Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. Piston fans, the voyage is going to get more and more exciting, more and more of a roller coaster. We got lots of things going on. The rumor mill is exploding. Since the NBA finals got over with Monday, there's just been rumor after rumor breaking. We're going to cover some of those rumors. We're going to do a little Cade Cunningham talk and some thoughts that Cade had on the coaching hire and where he's at physically. We're going to have more talk about Monty Williams and what he thinks about our Pistons team. So anyway, stay with me through the whole podcast because there's going to be lots of little tidbits I hope that are interesting for you. But we're going to start out with the trade rumor that actually I proposed this trade over a month ago, and it's to the Mavericks. So I try to look at where we could get what the highest pick we could possibly get would be, and it would be the Mavs pick at 10 for Bogey. So the Mavs need shooting, and Bogey's a great shooter. And so they have pressure on them right now because Luka, he at his exit interview said something about, something needs to be done. And, they're going to try to sign Kyrie. The only downside is that they need defense, and they also need a center that can defend and block shots. So I'm not sure what they're going to do because obviously Bogey's not a great defender. So the rumor is the 10th pick to Detroit, and they're saying Hardaway Jr. Now, when I proposed the trade, I proposed Davis Bertans, and Hardaway and Bertans make about relatively the same amount of money. So they both make about 16 or 17 million. Well, both of them make 17 million next year and then 16 million the following year. So they both are under contract for 2 more years. I'm not sure if either of them have a buyout, not to my knowledge. So Bertans didn't even get to play that much last year. He's always said to be one of the worst contracts. So to sweeten the pot for us, to get that 10th pick, I figured if we could take that bad money that they want to get off from. They played Hardaway more. So Hardaway averaged 14 points a game and 3.5 rebounds and 1.8 assists, shot 40% from the field and 38% on threes, which is good because he takes tough ones. There's a difference to guys that take wide open ones, like we're going to talk about later, like Beef Stew, when he gets his threes, they're wide open. And he really, even Ivy, I'm excited about Ivy's 3-point shooting, but they're still giving him a lot of space. And so we'll see how everybody shoots when they, are covered. But I think they defended Hardaway pretty well, but he's not a great defender. I'm not sure where he fits on our team. And so I felt like it's easier for us just to take Bertans and just suffer with him for 2 years and maybe try to trade him or maybe waive him after 1 year and just eat his contract. I don't know. But I just would love to have that 10th pick. I think there's going to be some really great picks there. It's fun to get picks. It's fun to think and speculate about the draft. And I know a lot of Piston fans are really getting into it. And, and it would be fun to get another pick in the first round. And so I know Troy's done it before. Wouldn't be surprised if Troy does it again. Bogey's our best trade chip. And plus, again, we have that pick number 31, the first pick in the second round that we can throw in and, take a bad contract off their hands, off the Mavericks' hands, and try to get that 10th pick. So we'll see, though. There's lots of things that could happen, and we have no idea what's going to happen. Rumors are just flying off. They're everywhere. So the Pelicans are said to be trying to trade up and possibly get Scoot. The Warriors are acting like they want to trade up, and they're even interested in maybe trading Kuminga. And I talked about us trying to get Kuminga somehow. I think that he's, got a lot of talent, and he's not gotten a good chance to play there. And if we could get him, these teams, I mentioned this before, that these top flight teams, they have to get off some contracts because they're going to be under the second apron in the Supermax, salary cap. They're going to be on the, in big trouble because there's going to be a lot of restrictions and things working against them if they don't. And so they're trying to get some cheaper, younger players or draft picks, because especially, a later first round or even second round. But it said that the Warriors are trying to move up and that they would maybe offer Kuminga. So we'll see what happens there. I know there's some debate, I have I appreciate everybody that makes comments on my podcast. I just want to share something that Chad Ford, he worked for ESPN for 20 years. He was their number one draft analyst, and he was really smart. But he made a comment about the people that go to like the summer league, and if there's a prospect playing in the summer league and they watch the game, and there's a prospect that they really love, and they watch the game, and they come away saying, "Oh yeah, he played really great," and then there might be the same prospect that somebody that is watching the summer league, and the guy plays the same way, but it was a prospect that they didn't like, and they come away saying, "Oh yeah, he's no good. He played terrible." And we're all that way. We have people that we like. I mean, I'm a Cam Whitmore and Taylor Hendricks guy, and there's a lot of Jarris Walker people that have gotten back with me. And I think Jarris Walker has tremendous instincts. But anyway, what Chad Ford said is true. It's in the eye of the beholder, and some of us are, you know, it makes a difference on how we view things by what maybe our first impression or how we feel about them. And we all want to be right, and obviously everybody's not right, because you just look at what's happened in the best player in the NBA right now, the Finals MVP, the Joker. He was picked 41st in the draft, so he was passed over 40 times. Also interesting in that draft, Dinwiddie was drafted just before Jokic, and so was Jeremy Grant. They were both drafted like 38th and 39th. And so that's what's fascinating about the draft, is anything can happen, and it always does. So I guess Scoot had a great workout. It's been rumored that the Charlotte is going to take Brandon Miller, but then I guess Scoot kind of blew him away with his workout. He came in there and just tip-top shape and just was a beast and shot really well and showed all of the explosiveness that a lot of us know that he has. Brandon Miller came in the next day and did his workout, but Brandon Miller has been coming off mono, and so I guess he wasn't as impressive. So that, again, there's lots of wild things, rumors about, like, again, the Pelicans wanting to trade up because they want to get Scoot. So are they going to trade, are they going to trade Zion? Are they going to trade Ingram? So that's just got, the hot stove things. People are really speculating all over the place with what can happen. So the Wizards, even things are going to happen different with the Wizards. What everybody thought was going to happen, everybody thought Bradley Beal was going to play there. They're going to re-sign Porzingis and keep Kuzma. Now they got a new president, so everything is completely off the board what they were going to do before. So now it looks like Kuzma might be available. There's rumors that they're working with Bradley Beal, because Bradley Beal has a no trade contract. So Bradley Beal has to okay the trade, or they have to, that if he doesn't want to go somewhere, he doesn't have to go there. So he's the only guy in the NBA with a no trade clause. So that throws a monkey wrench in things. So they're working with his agent and trying to get him traded. I'm not sure how much his trade value is, because he's a really good player, but he's got a huge contract, like $50 million a year for quite a few years. And so I think that he is not going to be, they're not going to get that much for him. They should have traded him a couple years ago, just like the same thing. I really believe that Portland needs to just trade Damian Lillard, and who knows how much you can get for guys. That's this trade thing. So we talk about what we can get for Bogey, and the longer we wait, and some people say, I've read articles where they say we can just wait to trade him, but he's getting older by the day. Every day we all get older, and we didn't get much for Jeremy Grant, and I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see what Jeremy Grant signs for. He is a great. He shot the lights out this year, and he's a good defender. But we couldn't trade him. We tried trading him. The best that we got was a Milwaukee Buck 2025 draft pick, which is probably going to be in the 20s, because Giannis is signed through then. So yeah, it's just, you just don't know. And if we can get something valuable like a 10th pick for Bogey, that would certainly be exciting for me. So there are 7 teams with multiple picks, and Utah has 3 picks in the first round. 7 teams with multiple first-round picks. So some of those teams, I talked about this last podcast, they, OKC, they can't possibly sign all their draft picks and roster all of them. And, there's going to be some, I think, good opportunities to get some good young players from some of these young teams. Orlando's loaded with people, and they've got 2 first-round draft picks. There's a rumor that Orlando wants possibly to trade up in the draft, and maybe even with Detroit at 5. I saw that rumor somewhere. Again, you just don't know where rumors are coming from or how many are true rumors. I'm jumping all around. I'm going to keep jumping around, but I just remembered, talking about the Wizards, that Porzingis, a Detroit podcaster, Piston podcaster, said, "Oh yeah, we should get Porzingis." Well, Porzingis is going to take a lot of money. He's younger than what Blake was, but it's a very similar. Porzingis has been injured his whole career. He demands lots of money. He's going to be a free agent and sign a huge contract. He's about 30, and he doesn't play good defense. He can block some shots, but he doesn't move laterally. He can't switch out on anybody. He's not good in transition, and so it's kind of like the Blake Griffin. And ironically, the new president of the Wizards is the same guy that was with the Clippers that traded Blake Griffin to us, and we gave up our first round draft pick, which ended up being Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and we ended up giving up a couple good players that we had. Anything that we had good on a roster, we had to give up. So anyway, I hope that we don't try to get Porzingis. I'm very confident that we're not going to. I want to talk about the Thompson twins just real quickly. It's ironic that Amen Thompson is always considered to be one of the top prospects, and most people are speculating that he will go forth to Houston. But Asur Thompson, they played together on the same team in the same league the last 2 years, and Asur Thompson both years was league MVP. And Amen Thompson has the ball in his hands all the time, and yet he averaged like 6.2 assists a game, and Asur Thompson, who didn't have the ball in his hands all the time, averaged 6.1 assists. So that's just kind of an interesting thing about the Thompson twins. For Michigan fans, Kobe Buffkin is a big riser on the draft boards. He is thought to be, he's done really well in pre-draft workouts, but he's shutting down. So some people think that maybe he has a promise. So we're just going to go over the rehash all the picks for the Pistons again at 5. And again, I'm really nervous. There's word out that there's rumors that Rockets are really considering taking Cam Whitmore. There's also speculation and that they really loved the twins, the Thompson twins. So who knows? And some people think that if they sign James Harden, then they would take Whitmore, because then they won't need a point guard, because Thompson's really a point guard. So all those things are going to play into the equation, and I'm just praying that they don't take Cam Whitmore, that Houston doesn't. That would break my heart. Not that, and there's still no guarantee that Troy's going to draft him. So a couple of things I want to say about Cam Whitmore. So people talk about his year at Villanova, and he didn't have the greatest year, especially passing-wise. He didn't pass the ball that well. But again, I'm going to say this again. He missed the first 7 or 8 games. He came on a team that was struggling. They didn't share the ball well, and his hand was hurt. He missed all the preseason practices. He had surgery, and so that's hard for a freshman to come on. And again, I know somebody commented about this because I made this thing about he's 18. Brandon Miller, I would take Brandon Miller in a heartbeat if I could get him. Still, even though he's 20 and Cam's 18, but you look at how much Brandon Miller improved from his in the last 2 years. He's 2 years older, and so he wouldn't have been, when he was 18, he never would have been a top 3 draft pick. And so there is lots of chances for him to improve. But I just wanted to, at the McDonald's All-Star game, where all the best players in the country play, Cam was outstanding. At the Hoop Summit tournament, where all the best players come, all the best freshmen and whatever come, Cam was outstanding. He dominated. And at the FIBA American Cup, Cam was MVP. And that's all best players from all over the world at that age, 18 or 19 years old players. So it's not just his year at Villanova. The other thing that people I think tend to realize is, I can't remember now how many how many minutes he played, but he played 30 some minutes. Cam only averaged 27 minutes. So somebody made a comment about his scoring average was lower. Another thing with Jarris Walker, he is more of a 4-5. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He is the best defensive player. Again, I've compared him to Draymond Green. I'm not saying he is Draymond Green, but the instincts are out. He does this thing where he can like get in help. And so if you're going to throw it down to, or somebody's going to get the ball down at the block, he can defend that. And then if you try to skip the ball to the opposite corner, when he's sagged way in, he is able to do a cat and mouse thing, and he's able to switch back out. And I mean, he's able to block people's jumpers really well. He isn't a high flyer as much as he has a long wingspan, but he doesn't jump out of the gym like Taylor Hendricks does. But so anyway, I don't want him. His jump shot is erratic. He jumps backwards a lot, fades away a lot, and he has inconsistent arc on his shot, and that's not a good sign. And he shot his 3-point shots. He shot way more, higher percentage of his shots were wide open threes compared to Cam Whitmore. And maybe Cam should have took some of those shots, but sometimes players are open for a reason. So obviously the teams that were playing against Jarris Walker knew they didn't have to guard him out at the 3-point line. So they left him alone. And so he wasn't a reluctant shooter when he was wide open. But he did not want to shoot when he was guarded, and he still didn't shoot that good of a percentage. So where Cam Whitmore shot a relatively the same percentage, but his were much more contested. His shots more fluid. His shots much more consistent. He shot, again, good at the McDonald's game and Hoop Summit and FIBA. And his workouts, I think I shared last week that he blew people away with how he shot the ball at his pro day and at his workouts for NBA teams. So, those all things, again, if we can't get, I would take Taylor Hendricks for sure over Jarris Walker also, because again, I think that he's more mobile. He is an outstanding, of the three, he is by far the best 3-point shooter right now, and he's got a high release. He's taller. He's an unbelievable shot blocker, and I think he just has a lot of upside. And he's 19, and but anyway, I know there's going to be still a lot of debate. People are going to disagree, and who knows? Troy might take somebody else completely. So I just see it, a race between those three, and I have Cam first and Hendricks second and Walker third, and I would even take Amen Thompson before I would take Jarris Walker. And it's not that I love Jarris Walker's defense, but I think offensively he didn't take the ball to the basket. Instead everybody was shocked. Why doesn't he take the ball to the basket? Instead he shot floaters and mid-range shots, and then on his mid-range jumper he jumped sideways and faded away. And so anyway, we'll know in a week. The draft is in 1 week. So I just want to talk a little bit now about Cade. So Cade got to speak a little bit when Monty had his press conference, but I love what he said, and I agree with Cade. Cade said, I thought it was the best case scenario. I couldn't have been happier about getting Monty. He said he's the perfect person for us to be able to learn from him and take it to the next level. I'm excited about his approach with his teams. So Cade is smart. Cade watches, and Cade knows stuff. He said, I'm excited about, I'm looking at his playbook, and I love it. I think he's going to fit us really well. Then he said he's primed for this summer to have full workouts. So I'm not sure that he's doing full workouts now, but there's people have tried to ask that question, and even the beat writers have not got to see him work out yet. So nobody knows if he's playing 5-on-5 or not. He said, I'm feeling amazing. He said if there were a game, I'd feel ready to compete in it. So that's the thing that we know about a lot of players if they're injured. If there's a game, or sometimes people would even say, this guy is not playing, they're holding him out. But if it was a playoff game, he would be playing. Well, if there was maybe a regular season game, Cade feels like he's capable of playing. But, to play in the summer, he's still got months to go before the preseason starts. So anyway, he said, I'd be ready to compete in it. I still have time this summer to continue to get better and to continue to feel better. And so that is the best news possible that we could ever hear. I just want to really quick touch on this. I know that Troy said something about Dwayne Casey. So Dwayne Casey was at the press conference for Troy. And so for Monty, not for Troy, for Monty Williams. And so but anyway, he said about Casey, he's going to give us he's going to be a special assignment to Troy. And he was at the combine earlier, so he's going to be all over the place. He's going to be on different assignments. We're excited about Coach continuing to bring his basketball acumen to the Pistons. So I'm happy for that too, and to have his presence. And it's just, he's a great part to continue the Piston culture. I mean, I just am so happy with the culture we have, what Monty's like, what Cade's like, what Dwayne Casey's like, what Troy's like. They all are great people that are all, I think, united in the same vision. And that's kind of what you hear again about the Denver, that they had that kind of culture on their team. So, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what Monty said about our team. And, again, Monty, he took over the Suns, and they went from 19 wins to 34 wins to 51 wins to 64 wins. And so, again, that's the same improvement that I would like to see with our Pistons. Again, it's going to take more time than some people think. Would I be shocked? I mean, I would be shocked if we won 40 games, but would it be impossible? No, but I still think that we're going to be more in the 32 to 35 range. And anyway, here's what Monty said. He said Cam and Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson that he had, they were just hungry in the gym all the time and ready to take the jump. I look at Jalen and I'm like, this young man is going to be an all-star soon. And Wise, talking about Weissman, how do we get him? And so here's the thing. A lot of people don't like Weissman. I still say the jury's out, and we have this next year to find out. But I think right there, Monty's excited about having Weissman on the team. And again, I'm going to jump back a little bit. I told you last podcast that Monty cried when Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson got traded. So I was telling you I don't want us to spend a bunch of money when we don't know until after this year, and that's when I want us to sign the big free agent or make the big trade for a player when we find out better where we're at. But I still think that if Monty loves Cam Johnson that much, and if Cam Johnson loves Monty that much, and the problem is that the Nets can match our offer. So how much we give him, but obviously Monty knows what he can bring. He can assess what after he watches our team in the gym working out. We know that from the press conference. They were all in the gym, everybody except for Kojo. It is a little bit interesting. So there, James Edwards, who knows a lot about basketball, about the Pistons and inner workings, he doesn't think Kojo's going to be back. And so I think that's another sign that probably Kojo isn't going to be back. And I know I like Kojo. I loved Kojo. I think he was a great person. It upset me that we were playing him when we should have been playing our young guys. So that was the only reason I didn't like Kojo. But he played really well at the end of the year. But it does certainly look like he's not coming back. So anyway, so he said that he thinks Jalen's going to be an all-star and Weissman's going to be really good. And both those guys can have a chance to be special, he said. And then he said, Cade's Cade. And you don't take it for granted, but he has so much room to grow. And I think Cade's going to take a big jump this year. My hot take is I think that the Pistons are going to get off, and it would take the Pistons getting off to a real good start. If they could play even anywhere close to 500 basketball for the first month or two, then I think Cade would be an all-star. So that would have to happen. They'd have to, be the surprise team and get a lot of attention, and Cade would have to play great. But I don't think it's inconceivable. But Monty thinks that he has so much room to improve. And then he said Jaden's just, everyone wants to compare him to Westbrook. I think he's Jaden. You don't have to compare a guy. I think he's going to be his own unique player. He has the work ethic, so he's going to get better. And again, I never seen a player that improved more than Jaden Ivey did during the season last year. He got so much better, and I don't think he's already a better shooter than Westbrook was. Not that Westbrook's going to be a Hall of Famer, no, for sure. He's a lock, and Jaden might never achieve that, but I still think Jaden's a better player. The comparison is the speed. So James Edwards also talking about the draft. He did a mock draft, and he's a real good writer. He writes for The Athletic, and he talked about him and some other athletic writers that covered other teams did a mock draft, and he said that the Pistons are going to run an open offense, whatever that means. I think they're going to spread the court wide, and people talked about his 0.5 second offense where they move the ball real fast, but I think that Cam Whitmore would be good in that, and he said that, and also based on some intel that he has. So James is around, he's around the team, he's around different people that are involved in the team, and so my guess is, sounds like he heard some intel that the Pistons like Cam Whitmore. So that's just, I'm hoping for that, and again, there's going to be so many more rumors busting out all over from now until next week in the draft, and we're going to try to cover for you and keep you updated on all those rumors if we can. And I happy that you all listen. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe and leave a thumbs up and do something nice for somebody today. There's somebody that you know that I know could use some cheering up and just some encouragement. And go Pistons.